many of them, but
maybe one.
Yeah, we're not Speaker, we were.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, let me just start the whole thing over because I want to introduce you. Hey guys. We are on our 5th week of Backpack Theology, and I want to introduce you to one of my best friends, an awesome pastor. His name is Nathan Casperry.
What's up, everybody?
He's a pastor up here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm introducing him to you not just to interview him for this chapter, but because he's also going to be coming down to preach at our next gathering. He's going to be taking us through Galatians chapter 5. You excited?
Oh yeah, love it.
You've been to Jamaica quite a few times.
Yeah, man. I had we lead a mission trip there every year, the St. Mary's area. Honeymoon
Nice.
There. Very different trips.
Those are very different trips. Very fruitful though, I'm sure. Speaking of fruit, Galatians chapter 5 is kind of like the fruity chapter in that it talks about the fruits of the Spirit. And before we dig into it, Nathan, you know me pretty well. We've been friends for a long time. What's a time maybe I didn't show the fruits of the Spirit: peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control? Oh Lord, there's a lot of them. When I should have.
Well, you're a good dude, so there's not as many bad stories as you think. But I remember this one time, we grew up as worship leaders, and we played a lot of camps all throughout the Southeast United States. And there was this one time where me and the bass player were carrying a big speaker, like 300 pounds. I slipped, and it fell on my knee, and I thought I was gonna lose my leg.
Guys, it was the loudest yell I've ever heard. Like, he wailed from outside the arena, and I thought someone was dying.
So I'm like trying to recover from this, decide I probably need to sit this first set out. And so my leg starts turning purple, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm injured. And Corey is like, I'm pretty sure you're not. And long story short, that night ended up in the hospital.
Hold on. That made it sound bad. So yeah, I knew he was hurting, but he was like, oh, I think I can't play. I was like, dude, you play guitar, just sit on a stool, you're fine. And he was like, nah, man, my knee really hurts. And I was just like all about us sounding the best. And I was like, you're fine. But yeah, he did end up in the hospital throwing up from pain.
I went into shock, developed asthma for a week.
He had asthma.
It was really weird.
So suffice it to say, I was not as patient and as gentle as I should have been
Which
with
are
my
two of the fruits of the Spirit.
with my injured buddy. But Paul in Galatians 5 really calls Christians to fulfill the law. And he says, fulfill the law by loving one another. And then he kind of gives us a roadmap to love, being the fruits of the Spirit, those that you just heard us say a second ago, plus a few more. And Nathan, you were saying a great example of this that you've seen is even in some of your trips down to Jamaica.
Oh yeah, man. So whenever we're there in the St. Mary's Parish, a lot of the people we work with there, these awesome Jamaicans are taking us through these neighborhoods, and it's amazing. You guys just look at, you know what that tree is simply by its fruit. Like, that's an ackee tree, this is a pimento tree, and I have no clue what these are because we don't have a lot of these trees in America. And I just started realizing, man, they look at the leaves, they look at the fruit, they look at the vegetations, and they know what kind of tree it is. They know it by its fruit.
That's so good. And I think that principle, just like Paul says, like Nathan so eloquently put, it kind of brings itself into our real everyday lives. We kind of know people by their fruit. Now, it's not to say we judge people. It's not to say we judge a book by its cover, but time will test people and we will see the type of fruit we are producing. Much like me in that moment with you where I didn't show patience or love or self-control. What we would hope is that the arc over our lives, over the seasons of our lives, is one that displays those. And so Nathan, like, if we were sitting in a group just like they are right now, I would probably ask you, bro, like, are there any of these fruits of the Spirit you feel like you're not showing right now in your life?
Oh man, I mean, so you got love, joy, peace, patience. Patience, I think, is one probably all of us struggle with.
Yeah.
I'm kind of ADD. I've got a very short attention span, and I have a very hard time when things don't work out the way I want it, when I want it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're kind of in that technology era where we have access to, like, pretty much anything because of the internet.
Yep.
So,
microwave generation.
Yes, so patience is a big thing. Peace, I'm kind of an extrovert. You know, I kind of
really?
So, you know, for me, being in solitude is more of a discipline. It's not necessarily like a habit. So, finding moments of peace where I'm doing more listening is kind of difficult. I like to, you know, as an extrovert, I kind of maybe I'm a little bit of the center of attention, or at least I try to be. So, I need to try to be more.
All right, this isn't confessional, Nathan. No, but I do get what you're saying. I think for me, even just thinking, like, if I was sitting in the circle with you guys and you'll ask me that same question, I would say kindness. Not that I don't want to be kind, but even my natural tendency is to be a bit blunt, candid, semi-abrasive. But I think those things can come across like I don't have grace with people, much like in the situation. Man, I haven't grown from that. That was like a decade ago. But it is the kindness of the Lord that leads us to repentance.
That's good.
And I think one of the things, even if looking at those fruit, if we want to see like our spouses come to the Lord, if we want to see our friends come to the Lord, it's not by pointing fingers at them and telling them where they're doing wrong or how they're getting it wrong, but rather being kind to them, and our kindness to the people in our lives will actually get more of the result we want.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm working on personally. So that would be one of the questions I would encourage you guys, turn to one another, maybe right at the end of this video, and just ask, hey, are there any of these fruits of the Spirit listed in Galatians chapter 5 that we feel like we need to work on, and why? But this is Nathan. We'll see him in just a few days. See you guys.
Bye, guys.